LA tonight in the play-in tournament. The loser of this game faces elimination on Friday. Steph and LeBron have squared off 38 times, 22 of those coming in the playoffs. And although LeBron has the edge in scoring, rebounding, and assists, it's Curry who has him where it counts in the win column.
Yes, the edge of
Curry's
teammates.
15-7 versus James in the postseason and 22-16 overall. Stephen A., who's the most important player not named LeBron or Steph in tonight's play-in game?
Believe it or not, I think it's Andrew Wiggins. Somebody that I was quoted as saying I wouldn't give away for a box of cookies. I wouldn't give a box of cookies away to get them. Here's my thing about the former number one overall pick. Andrew Wiggins can play, but that's why I said what I said. Because for every game that he drops big numbers and big buckets, he's a virtual non-factor in the next 5. He just seems to be one of those guys whose numbers don't appear to be impactful almost at any time he plays. And that's what I find disappointing. I never, ever would say he's a scrub and he can't play. He can play. The problem is because he can play, you would expect so much more from him if he had the kind of fire that you're looking for from him. But everybody knows he's been devoid of that throughout his entire career. Jimmy Butler lamented that when they were in Minnesota. Others have lamented it in NBA circles as well. And I think that if he shows up tonight and plays big, because Draymond's going to do what he's going to do. And, you got other guys like Jordan Poole and others. They're going to just do whatever they can. Steph Curry, he's the head of the snake. He's going to try to, save the day, all of that other stuff. But somebody's got to step up and say, Steph don't have Clay. So here I am. Give me the damn ball too. Let's do this. You got to have that kind of attitude. And if Andrew Wiggins has that kind of attitude and is able to put up plus 25 a game, this game could be very, very interesting. The Lakers could be in some trouble. He's about 6'7", 6'8". He's got good enough size. He can make things happen. He's got athleticism. Can he do it? I think that's what makes him important because I think that's the only thing that gives the Golden State Warriors a chance to win this game.
I'm sorry, Molly. That answer was so ridiculous. I need to make sure that I understand the question. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, most important player not named LeBron or Steph in tonight's play-in game.
Yeah.
And Anthony Davis is playing in the game. Mm-hmm. And Stephen A. Smith's answer is Andrew Wiggins.
I'm not worried about Anthony Davis.
Box of cookies, right?
I know
you brought it up because I could have sworn. I'm glad you brought it up because I could have sworn for a box of cookies.
I did say that.
So what would you trade AD for? What do you like? Chris Rock, 1 rib. How much is 1 rib, right? Like, what would you trade AD for if Andrew Wiggins is more important than Anthony Davis? Anthony Davis might wind up to be the most important player in the game, period. He is on the LeBron Steph level. When you talk about the best players in the game, AD's name is in that conversation. And you want to take a guy like Andrew Wiggins, you could say, well, he has an impact, and for 5 games he doesn't. Andrew Wiggins is a good player. He's not an all-star. He's a good player. AD is an MVP caliber player. AD is so great that just with LeBron alone, they don't need a big 3, according to many. Just those 2 guys. Perk was on here earlier saying they can defend their title in this league, in this Western Conference, with a big 3 in the Nets. Why? Not because LeBron's alone. When LeBron was alone, they couldn't do anything. Because LeBron has Anthony Davis, who is... The only argument that AD is not the 3rd most important player in this game is that he's the 2nd or 1st most important. You want to make that argument? That's better than saying he's at best the 4th most important player in the game.
I specifically talked about how Anthony Davis was a top 5 player on the planet. We take for granted what he's going to do, and I'm taking it for granted here. He's LeBron James' teammate. Take LeBron and Steph aside. We know what they have. Just like I mentioned Draymond Green. We know what to expect from Draymond Green in terms of being that point forward and a facilitator and a defender and all of that other stuff. When I answer the question about the most important player not named LeBron or Steph, I'm talking about an X factor that could potentially help dictate an unexpected outcome. Anthony Davis is a given. LeBron is a given. Steph is a given. Whatever you're going to get from Draymond Green is a given. What's the thing you can't take for granted? What's the wild card? That's how I'm okay. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about somebody that's obvious like Anthony Davis. We know he's the top 5 player on the planet.
I got it. You were answering a different
That's
question.
what I'm talking about.
Okay,
But to me, it's the same question. The most important player not named LeBron or Steph. I'm looking at it that way because I'm taking for granted Anthony Davis and LeBron.
Let's keep it rolling. Lakers favored by 5. Stephen.
Man, name. We lost our mind debating with you. Yeah, you lost, all right. They want all this smoke. Carry on.
Yes, you know what it is. It's time for a new segment.
I'm in.
Carry on. Max and Stephen A, listen up. Big Perk has something he wants to get off his chest, but these are the rules. You cannot interrupt him until he finishes. Perk, floor is yours.
Molly, New York stand up. Tom Thibodeau, culture changer, Worldwide West, Julius Randle, most improved, Derrick Rose, 6th Man of the Year candidate, Spike Lee and Stephen A. outside the Spike Lee studio, drinking that moonshine, chanting orange and blue skies. But guess what? It's about to get cloudy for the New York Knicks in the first round because they're going to get beat by the Atlanta Hawks. Yes, I'm picking the Atlanta Hawks in the first round of the playoffs against the New York Knicks. They have a superior superstar that is underrated in Trae Young, averaging 25 and 9 assists a night. They have a defensive player of the year candidate in Clint Capella that's giving you 15 points, 14 rebounds, and 2 blocks. And they have another unsung hero who people don't talk about enough, who could also be in the conversation of most improved, and that's John Collins, giving you 17 and 8 a night. They have so many offensive weapons, from Bogdanovich to Lemon Pepper Lou to Gallinari. And by the way, they are well coached by Nate McMillan. I have the Atlanta Hawks beating the New York Knicks in the first round. Carry the hell on.
How dare you? How dare you? How dare you spew that blasphemy on this show to come up here in the morning? I was in a good mood. How dare you do this, Kendrick Perkins? I'm going to deal with you later because, Molly, I got a Sports Center with Stephen A. coming up tonight.
Hey!
The NBA preview show. And Kendrick Perkins going to be in the house. I'm going to see you in person. You're going to have to deal with me. How dare you? How dare you do something like that? Now, I understand what you're saying, because Nate McMillan can coach, and I'm so proud of him, and I'm happy that he's in Atlanta instead of Indiana. Nate Millen in Indiana just didn't seem right. Him in the ATL seems far more apropos, okay? Trae Young can ball, Collins can ball, Clint Capella, Gallinari, don't bring him up, please. He might panic the second he walk into the Garden, okay? I ain't worried about him. The New York Knicks, okay? New York stand up. One of the top defenses in the National Basketball Association, an MVP candidate in Julius Randle. RJ Barrett's been playing well. We understand that playoff basketball, things slow down, okay? It gets a little physical, a little rough and rugged. And more importantly, you know this, KP, better than most. Here's the reality. When you're young and playoff basketball arrives and you got a team that defends and engages in lockdown mode, and they're a bit more physical than you, dare I say, it could ultimately count against you. And I think that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be a big-time series. I definitely think it's going 7 games. But the fact that a Game 7 is going to be at Madison Square Garden is what it is for me. I got the Knicks winning this series in 7 games. It's going to take 7. But I got and I'll be covering every game of that series, Max, KP, Molly. I'll be in the ATL. I'll be in the building, okay? Bottom line is the New York Knicks will scratch and claw their way to the second round against a team on the come up with a lot of promise, but just a little bit too young at this particular moment in time.
Perk may be right. Atlanta may be able to beat the Knicks. I'll be laughing if they do, because Stephen A., after all the chest thumping, you can't even win a playoff series against a lower seeded team, and people are acting like the Knicks actually did something. But if I had to guess who's going to win that series, I'm going to guess the Knicks. They're a very well coached, and as Atlanta is, and a really good defensive team. I think, and they do have home court. I think the Knicks probably win the series, but I want to talk about something else, Perk. See, I'm against the Knicks because of James Dolan. You basically have Charles Oakley arrested. Get out of here. You know, like I'm done with Dolan. But I'm not anti-New York. What's going on with you, Perk? You got everyone beating the Nets, not just the Lakers if they face the Nets in the finals. You got Milwaukee beating the Nets. Now you got the Knicks losing in the first round to a lower-seeded team. You got an issue with New York City?
No, I don't. But I sent my paperwork back to underwriting, okay? And it came back before the playoffs, and they reevaluated and said, hey, some things need to change. So what I've been watching towards the end of the season, I've been watching the Atlanta Hawks team play inspiring, winning basketball and flying under the radar. They have been flying under the radar. And when I say flying, I'm talking about Clint Capella. Just think about this, right? He's top 5 in the league in blocks. We all saw what he did when he was with the Rockets. He was part of that crew with James Harden and Chris Paul, where he helped them get to the Western Conference Finals multiple times. Hell, Clint Capella had so much of an impact, they shipped Dwight Howard out of there, okay? That's how high they are on Clint Capella. This guy is a defensive stud. He could possibly win Defensive Player of the Year, which I think he won't. But, Max, this has nothing to do with me having a problem with teams in New York, okay? Two of my listen, Tom Thibodeau, I won the championship with him in 2008. He's my brother for life. Worldwide West was part of my draft process, okay? So don't get it twisted, Max. It's nothing personal. You don't want to have something personal.
That's right.
I'm talking basketball right now.
That's right. Don't have Oakley arrested after a litany of mistakes by Dolan. Let me ask you this. Who's the best player in this series? Like, Julius Randle's probably top 5 MVP this year. Is Trae Young? Who has the best player in this series?
Let me tell you something. In the league that you call a guard-driven league, right? That you said on multiple occasions on this platform is a guard-driven league. What did we see last year in the bubble besides Anthony Davis? Who did we see dominate the league in the playoffs when it mattered the most? It was perimeter players, right? And you always go to that point. And I'm looking for Trae Young to have a playoff impact like Jamal Murray did last season in the bubble. And even to the level of Donovan Mitchell, where he may not get out the second round, but he is going to put up monster numbers. He's that electrifying. He's that much of an elite top 4-tier scorer that he's capable of doing that. So I'm looking at Trae Young, and yes, he's going to be the best player in this series.
Although every time Max opens his mouth, he makes me wonder about my position because he just weakens the argument, for crying out loud. I'm still going to stick to my point about the New York Knicks. And I'm going to point to the fact that, again, defense does win, particularly when you're rough and rugged. And to me, when I look at this team right now, and I look at how physical they can be, boy, I wouldn't even be worried, because I am worried. I'm not going to front, KP. I'm definitely worried about the impact that the Atlanta Hawks could have, because they do have some talent on their squad, and they're well coached. But if Mitchell Robinson were healthy, I wouldn't even be worried about this series. I really wouldn't. But they don't have that. But I'm still going with the Knicks in 7 games. Because of their defense, because of the experience.
Hear that, Perk? Now we got the excuse. If the Knicks can't even get out of the first round, it's because of Mitchell Robinson's absence.
I just said I picked them to win. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm not like you. I don't dance like you do. I don't moonwalk.
Excuses.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Molly, before you end, I just want to say this.
You dance better than that, Molly.
I walked into the LA studio today, and the security guard, my good friend, I thought he would recognize me. I had my face mask on. And he said, hey, man, ain't you the guy that used to play for the Dallas Cowboys? I said, you know what? It's time for me to go hit the exercise bike. Because he thought I was Big Swagoo. He thought I was Marcus Peters. He thought I was an offensive lineman. It's time for me to go get a workout in. I said, enough is enough.
That's
I said,
hilarious.
enough is enough. I just kept it moving. I feel real bad.
No, oh my God.
Tell everybody you live in Texas. Maybe that's why I thought that.
Look like Swagoo and feel bad. All right. We'll tell Marcus about that one.
Hilarious.
No, Max, don't do that.
No, you said enough. You said quite enough.
Nothing wrong with a little meat on your bone.